Hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of the 3-part video series on Einstein Analytics Studio, creating a simple dashboard. In the previous video, we created a data flow which fed into a data set, which is going to help us recreate this dashboard here. So that app that we made in that previous video is called Simple Dashboard Demo App, which is basically a folder. And inside of that app, we now have our one data set from that video. So now we are going to create a dashboard using that data set. To do that, we go to the app and then you click on Dashboards and then Create Dashboard. And we're going to do a blank dashboard. When I make a dashboard, I like to start it off with 50 columns. That's the max columns you can have. And that gives me extra design flexibility. I also like to use fine row height, once again for flexibility. Now, you could use the default gray background, but for this dashboard, I'm going to do my best to make it look nice. I have a standard color that I like to use for my dark backgrounds. You can do some dark backgrounds, some light backgrounds, but once you find something that you like, it's good to stick with it. It'll help you be fast, put together some good looking stuff pretty efficiently. So here I am with my dark blue dashboard. And if I want to recreate opportunities by account name and owner, I'm going to need to go ahead and drag on a chart widget in order to recreate this first horizontal bar chart here. So let's go ahead and drag a chart widget onto the page. We'll size it, make it look a little bigger. And before I go too much further, I'll just highlight that the panel on the left-hand side is really used for all your different widgets that you can drag onto the dashboard. The common one you're going to use the most is this chart widget. Outside of that, it's text widgets, just for throwing titles onto the page, which we'll do in a moment. So I want to go ahead and click on the chart, pick my data set, which is the simple opportunity data set. And one of the first things I'm going to do is switch it to a stacked horizontal bar chart. You do this by going over here, clicking on the charts, and then stacked. Now over here on the left-hand side, you have the components that can make up that stacked bar chart. I want my account name to be my bar, and I want my stage to be my stack, or the thing that it segments by. I want to sort it descending by value. Instead of counting the rows, I'm going to sum up the amount. Looks pretty good. We'll see how that looks. Not bad. So I don't like the name over here of the opportunity to account.name. I want something a little more friendly, like just account name. Let's go ahead and update that. You'll do that by going to the app, finding the data sets, clicking on that data set, and then you'll click on the little down arrow over here and then show fields panels. And here you can actually edit it, which is the same thing as renaming it. And this will give it a dashboard or reviewer friendly name. Now there's one other one that I don't think looks that great for display purposes. It's this one, opportunity to owner name. Let's go ahead and just call that owner name. Now we're going to come over to this dashboard. We're going to save our work. Store that into our secured simple dashboard demo app. Now that it's saved, we will view it. and refresh the page because I want to see this change here. Now it says account name. It's a little bit more friendly, but still looks kind of weird. I think what I'll do instead is just do by accounts, give it a title, and then I'm going to remove the y-axis title. Let's go ahead and pull up our reference dashboard. There we go. All right, so now I need to look a little nicer. Let's give it a darker background and change the theme. So come down here to widget styles, background. And I have a particular color I like to use with my current background on this dashboard. And then I'm going to use the theme of dark. Perfect. One thing I want to highlight is this little down arrow, I think sometimes causes more trouble than help to the users. It ends up leading to questions and some confusion. For anything that's not a grid view, I like to remove this down arrow. So that's what I'm going to do. And so we're going to come over here and uncheck the box on the show widget actions. Now when we view it, we won't see it. Looking pretty good so far. Let's go ahead and change this a little bit more. Save it. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is add on a couple of filters so that our users can control how they're seeing this data themselves a little bit without needing to ask us to go modify something. So to do that, I'm going to first add on the stage name and close date filters. So the stage name filter is going to just be a list filter. I know you might think it's this filter over here. However, the reason I'm choosing the list component is because really what I want the users to be able to do is change these by themselves on the fly. And a drop-down component, which is what the list is, does a really good job of doing that when you have it set to facet. And we'll get into that in a moment. So now that I have my list component on the page, I'm going to click on it. And then I will select the field that I want, which is stage. Perfect. Now I'm going to go ahead and style it just a little bit, remove the widget actions. Do background color. There we go. Under filter style, we'll do light gray and white. Preview it. Looks pretty good. Now what's nice about this is now if you select closed one, the data set and every component or widget that uses that data set is going to get filtered. That's called faceting. Same thing goes the other way around. Right now you can see one is 390 here. If I select something over here, now my list has dropped quite a bit. So we're going to make a couple of updates to this list control just for better user-friendly behavior. The first thing I'm going to do is go to the query. And I'm going to let them select multiple selections, not just one at a time. I'm going to leave this checkbox checked. This is the checkbox that essentially pushes the updates to other components on the dashboard. You can see that because now if I click it, it doesn't do anything. But we want that on. We're not going to touch the faceting or the filters. Filters in this video are not going to be covered. And one other thing is you can see the numbers over here. I don't want those to display. So I'm going to say none on the measure field, and that actually hides the numbers. Also on the query, to change the behavior of losing my selections, I'm actually going to, I'm going to keep it like it is at all. I could say that I don't want this component to be affected by selections over here. However, I actually do want them to be affected because I think it causes more confusion to the user if you keep the entire drop-down list after they click on a component over here. So with that, I think we're looking good. We just need to default some selections for our users. To do that, you click on the ellipsis on the top right and say pick initial values. I want all of them except the close loss to start. And then you say done. All right, we're looking pretty good. Now we're going to add a text widget to the page. Get rid of the widget actions. On the background, we want it to match the background of our dashboard. Text color should be white. And we'll just copy that. There we go. All right, we're starting to look pretty similar now. So we're now going to add a date filter onto this. So let's put the date component over here. This will let my users filter the dashboard based on a close date. And it's important to note that you can only filter and use fields that you've made available in your data set, which was covered in the previous video. You can't pick a field on my opportunity that I didn't add through my data flow. Now I'm going to style this just a little bit. You can tell I've done this just a few times. Trying to make some room. All right, save it so you don't lose your work. Okay, so now I seem to have done a pretty good job of getting my opportunities by accounts here. Now I want it by owner. And this feature that I'm about to use is a lifesaver. This is the copy widget. As you saw how long it took me to style that first one. In the past, this didn't used to exist, and you would have to copy all those same settings and do all those same button pushes all over again. And so this feature was a big deal. Okay, I think we're looking good. Just going to change the title by owner. And then we're going to double click, change the bar to owner name. And just like that, we're looking pretty good. We got Irene up top with 60 million, Irene up top with 60 million, making some good progress. Let's go ahead and save it. All right, now we're going to add a grid view right below these so that our users can see the information associated with these charts. For that, you just drag a table widget onto the dashboard. Click it and select table mode, values table. Values table is great for displaying data to your users. I'm going to press done. Now it looks a little out of place, so we're going to go ahead and style it. First thing I'm going to do is leave these widget actions, because these widget actions are what allows our users to potentially share it and download the information. But I do need to get rid of this white background here. That's just a little too ugly. We want to make it so that it matches the background of our dashboard. There we go. The next thing is to give it a theme, a dark theme. Now it looks much cooler. And then on the spacing, I want this to fit the widget. There we go. And I'm not a big fan of this row counter over here, so I'm going to remove that. Press save, and then we will view the dashboard. It's looking pretty good. I need to reorder the columns and add a few columns on here, so I'm going to put opportunity name, stage, account name, opportunity owner as my first 4 fields. So we're going to go over here, press name. Got my stage already. I got my account name and owner name here. Now I just drag this up here, and you can see it resorting over here. So we got name, stage, account name, opportunity owner, amount, probability, close date, and ID. Let's remove a few of these. We'll add close date, probability. I guess I forgot that one. Instead, we'll just do forecast category. If I want to get probability, I just have to go update my data flow and then run it again, and then it'll come into my data set. Then you can refresh your dashboard and grab that. And opportunity ID. Now I want to format the amount here. I think that looks a little ugly. We'll do currency. There we go. We'll just round it. And just like that, you've got a nice looking grid view over here. Now, I do want this to say opportunity name, not just name, so let's go ahead and update that. If you want to update this, the best place to do it, to be consistent across all your dashboards, is going to be in the data set. So you go to your app, find that data set, click on the data set, show fields panel, name, opportunity name. Now the next time I refresh my dashboard, I should see that. Another thing I would like to do is add a little chevron to it. You saw, this cool feature right here of being able to open the record within Salesforce. That is a very nice thing to be able to do. And in order to do that, what you're going to need to do is configure the actions in your data set. So going back to my simple dashboard demo app, rather than clicking on it, if I come over to the arrow and say edit, here I can do something called configure actions over here. And what this will let me do is it can let me specify a field such as opportunity name and say when somebody hovers their mouse over the opportunity name, we're going to use the opportunity ID associated with that to do some kind of an action. And so I'm going to display the opportunity name and the ID if there's any kind of conflict that comes up. And this is going to perform an open Salesforce record action. You could do other actions, but we're not going to get into that in this video. So now I've configured my data set. I'm going to come back to my dashboard that I'm working on. Just to see it still says name and there's no chevron. Let's go ahead and save it and then refresh it. Now it says opportunity name and I have a chevron on it. And I can open a record in Salesforce. So that's a very powerful thing, very popular thing to be able to do as well. One of the things I like most about the dashboards that we offer. Yeah, Einstein Analytics, it's one of the, you're seeing how fast that I'm building this dashboard from the data flow and on the dashboard creator itself, and it just seems very compatible with Salesforce, and Salesforce is only investing in making it easier and easier, and because it's a cloud-based software, you just get the updates as they come through. It's very useful. So when it comes to Tableau versus Einstein Analytics Studio, I'm liking where Salesforce is going with this direction. So we've got all our fields that we wanted. It's looking pretty good. We got our little list filter over here, our date filter. And now when I click on things over here like Becker, 1.7 million, now I can actually see who owns those opportunities and what records, what they look like. And so that's all we're going to be covering for this video. In the third and final video, we will be adding on the ability to use a static binding. That's essentially where you can let your users change all kinds of things about the dashboard just by selecting an option in a list, such as measuring things by counts rather than amounts, or by a different field even, maybe expected revenue versus actual revenue. And then we'll also be covering results binding. So appreciate you watching and have a great day.